after the game, seeing his wife and son in the lounge.
Was an emotional Randy Moss who broke down 10 years ago today. This was just hours after he learned that his teammate Korey Stringer had died. Well, today the Vikings are honoring Stringer on the 10th anniversary of his death. In fact, you just saw it right there. They painted the number 77 out on the practice field. 5 Eyewitness News reporter Chris Long is in Mankato, where he spoke with some of Stringer's former teammates today. Chris?
Yeah, it was actually just a few steps that way that Korey Stringer collapsed those 10 years ago. He died playing a sport that he loved, but his death changed the culture of his sport. 10 years later, the memory is still vivid.
I can still smell the grass that day. I know it was hot, and it was one of the hottest training camps I've been involved in. Big K was right next to me, and we're walking off. We've got our shoulder pads in our hands, and all of a sudden he just drops. And he drops to the ground, and I can remember my last words were, "Big K, you all right? You all right?" And he says, "I'm all right. I'm all right."
Stringer had severe heat stroke, rushed to the hospital with a body temperature above 108 degrees.
We had a knock at our door. It was late in the middle of the night, and Mike Tice came in and said we lost him.
The rest of training camp was a blur. I don't think any of us had ever dealt with anything like that.
You're on the field with a guy that you're bleeding and you're sweating with and you're battling with every single day, and all of a sudden he dies doing the same thing you've been doing for your whole life.
Stringer's death had a sweeping impact on the culture of football at every level of the sport. This
was a wake-up call. There's no question about it. I know right away the next year there were tents and water breaks.
I think that's the one thing we can take away from Korey's tragic death is the difference he's made in the game. All these kids, as they begin the annual fall tradition of going to play football and going into a training camp, they need to be thinking about what they're doing on a daily basis.
The change came too late for Big K, Korey Stringer, but the lessons learned and the memories of a beloved teammate live on today.
You know, it's in my calendar every year, August 1st. I think about him. I got a picture of him in my closet at home that I look at almost every morning when I'm getting dressed.
Definitely, it affects the way I coach, the way I handle my guys, and it's in the back of my mind every time I'm on a football field.
That's the message we need to think about when we think about Korey Stringer. You know, celebrate his life, and let's all learn some lessons that he died teaching us.
It's so hard to believe it was only 10 years ago that the culture of football sometimes discouraged drinking water during practices, and the dangers of practicing in the heat were largely ignored. Now, Stringer's wife, Kelsey, is still working to settle lawsuits after his death, but one of the settlements that's been reached, she's been working with the NFL to establish a heat illness awareness program. Live in Mankato, Chris Long, 5 Eyewitness News.